In the village of Ugwuoba, where the forest whispered ancient secrets to those who knew how to listen, lived a hunter named Obiora. Unlike other hunters who bragged about their kills in the village square, Obiora was known for his silence and the mysterious copper amulet he always wore around his neck. What the villagers didn't know was that Obiora had been chosen by the spirit of the forest at a young age. His grandfather, before passing into the ancestral realm, had performed the sacred hunter's ritual on him, mixing 3 drops of python blood with palm wine and having him drink it under a full moon. This ritual allowed him to understand the language of animals and see pathways in the forest invisible to ordinary eyes. Obiora's fame grew not from his boasts, but from his unusual hunting style. He never killed more than was needed, always left offerings for the forest spirits, and somehow managed to return with game even during the harshest dry seasons. Other hunters whispered that he could transform into a leopard at will, while some claimed they had seen him talking to trees. One year, during the season of the Harmattan winds, a terrible beast began terrorizing nearby villages. It was described as larger than a leopard, with eyes that glowed like embers and teeth as long as a man's fingers. After it killed 3 children from the neighboring village, the kings of 7 communities gathered and decided that the beast must be hunted down. Many great hunters tried. Some never returned from the forest. Others came back with tales of a creature that seemed to disappear into shadows and reappear like evil spirits. Even groups of hunters armed with guns and charms failed to track it. Finally, the village elders approached Obiora. At first, he refused, saying some things in the forest should be left alone, but when he heard the cries of another bereaved mother, he knew he had to act. Obiora spent 7 days preparing. He didn't sharpen spears or load guns like other hunters. Instead, he sat with the oldest tree in the forest, chewing bitter cola and listening. He visited the village shrine where the priestess painted sacred symbols on his chest with white chalk. On the 7th day, he took only his father's old knife and his copper amulet. He entered the forest at midnight when the boundary between the physical and spirit worlds was thinnest. Following pathways only he could see, Obiora tracked the beast to its lair. What he found there changed him forever. The creature was not evil as everyone believed. It was the last of its kind, maddened by the loss of its forest home to human expansion. Through his gift of understanding animal speech, Obiora learned that its attacks were acts of desperate revenge against those who had burned its ancestral forest to make new farms. Instead of killing the beast, Obiora spent the night talking with it, sharing his own understanding of loss, for he too had watched the forest shrink year by year. As dawn approached, they reached an agreement. The beast would stop its attacks, and Obiora would ensure that the remaining forest would be protected as sacred ground where no trees could be felled. When Obiora returned to the village, many were angry that he hadn't killed the beast, but when he spoke at the gathering of elders, even the most hardened hearts understood. The 7 communities came together and declared the deep forest sacred ground forbidden to hunters and farmers alike. From that day forward, no more children were taken, and the beast was occasionally seen patrolling the forest boundaries, now as a guardian rather than a terror. Obiora's reputation grew even greater, though not as a killer of animals, but as a keeper of balance between the world of humans and the realm of spirits. Years later, when Obiora grew old, young hunters would visit him to learn the old ways. He taught them that a true hunter's strength lay not in how many animals he could kill, but in how well he understood the delicate balance of the forest. He would tell them, the forest is not just a place for hunting, it is a living spirit that can either be your greatest ally or your deadliest enemy. They say that when Obiora finally died, no one found his body. The villagers believe he transformed into a leopard and still roams the forest, protecting its secrets and maintaining the balance he had worked so hard to preserve. Even today, hunters in that region leave small offerings at the forest's edge and whisper prayers to Obiora's spirit before entering his domain. And on very quiet nights they say you can still hear his leopard call echoing through the trees, reminding all that the forest's wisdom is greater than man's desires.